Hello my friends and fellow travelers, my name is Pierce, this is my channel Tales from the Road. Thanks so much for stopping by, and welcome to my backyard. Today, we're going to talk about one of my favorite cities in the entire world, a place I absolutely fell in love with, and a place with some of the best food you can find anywhere. The city, of course, I'm talking about is Chiang Mai, Thailand, the gem of the north, a city with a robust amount of culture, things to do, sights, and everything in between. In this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know before you go, so you have an awesome, relaxing, amazing, interesting time in a city that I love so much. If that sounds good, let's get into it. So let's do a little historical and geographical background around Chiang Mai so we can get to know the city a little bit better before we go. First and foremost, Chiang Mai is an old city, a really old city, founded in 1296. And Thailand, for that matter, is also a very old kingdom, the Kingdom of Siam, a major facet of culture, of religion, of history, of everything in between for that region in Southeast Asia. Chiang Mai sits in the Thai highlands in the northern part of the country, very close to the borders of Myanmar and Laos. It also sits below one of Thailand's largest mountains, Thanon Thong Chai Mountain, which on top of it has a very notable temple called Doi Suthep, which is a beautiful mountain monastery that sits above the city. You've got to visit it, but it really is emblematic of that region of Thailand. Within these hills, you'll find many different hill tribes of northern Thailand, which spill, of course, over into Myanmar and Laos, which gives various cultures, languages, religious practices, clothing, architecture, and everything in between. The thing that I really like about Chiang Mai in comparison to other major cities of Thailand is that it has this historical grounding. Where in the city center, you'll find one of the oldest and largest Buddhist stupas that's still in continual use in Thailand today, as well as Chiang Mai's old city walls, which give it that really nice ancient aesthetic in an otherwise modern Thai city. Everything in the north feels a little bit older, a little bit slower, a little bit more relaxed, and I think that's why Chiang Mai is such a unique and beautiful place to visit on any trip to Thailand. With that being said, let's get into the practical information so we can be ready to go for our trip to Thailand. Money. The money you're going to use is the Thai baht when you go to Thailand, and right now it's trading around 33 Thai baht to $1 US. The good news about Thailand, and Chiang Mai specifically, is that Thailand, for many travelers from many other parts of the world, is incredibly inexpensive. The price for hostels and hotels is pretty low, pretty reasonable. Maybe for a hostel room, less than $10 US a night. For a hotel, I'm sure you can find something good for less than $50 a night. And of course, they have premium services, premium hotels if that's something you're more interested in. The all-inclusive experience. As far as food, Thailand has notoriously cheap food. You can eat street food or things at street markets for less than a couple bucks. It could be $3, $2. There's endless amounts of food that you can get for an excellent price. But because Chiang Mai is, of course, a modern city with a lot of expats and a lot of foreign influence, you'd, of course, go to nicer restaurants that are gauged at a higher price point. So really, I think the cool thing is that Chiang Mai and many of the other cities in Thailand are built for people with a lot of money, built for people with not a lot of money, and everyone in between. It's a very open place for everybody, and I think that's what I love about Chiang Mai in particular. If I wanted to sum it up, I'd say the bang for your buck ratio in Thailand is 5 out of 5. You're not going to find a better place that you can get more for less. I think Chiang Mai is a really easy city to navigate, but the one thing that is challenging to navigate is the language. Thai is a beast. It's not written in Latin letters, so you won't be able to read it, and many people, especially people over 40, cannot speak English. At restaurants, you're gonna use pictures a lot of times to order, which is super helpful, but maybe you're interested in brushing up on some Thai language to make sure you can communicate a little bit easier on your trip there. Well, the good news is I've partnered with an app called Ling. They specialize in languages that are challenging to learn. So let me tell you a little bit about Ling. Ling is a language learning app that focuses on non-mainstream languages, just like Thai. And it's built by a team of global citizens who are super excited to share their language and their culture with you through the app. They've got well thought out lessons with effective and efficient learning methodologies to help you tackle these challenging languages. They break down this complexity into parts, with 2 minutes for learning new vocabulary, 3 minutes for studying and reviewing the vocabulary, and then just a short 5 minutes of getting the vocabulary in context. So when you're ordering something in a Thai market, you have the context. You don't just have random words that are coming from random places that are not helpful on the ground. Ling is trusted by 5 million avid language learners who love the app, and I've started using the app too, and my Thai is pretty sabai. Make sure to click the link in the description for a 7-day free trial. If you're interested in brushing up your Thai before you get in country, check out Ling, and let's get back to the Chiang Mai stuff. Transportation. Getting into Chiang Mai is not the most convenient, but it is certainly not rocket science. Chiang Mai has an international airport, and you will be able to go to Chiang Mai from many other Asian hubs. Maybe if you're in Vietnam, maybe if you're in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, Singapore, you may be able to fly to Chiang Mai directly. But if you're flying internationally from anywhere far away, you're going to fly to Bangkok first, and then you're going to fly to Chiang Mai second. The good news for you is that Chiang Mai International Airport flies between Bangkok and Chiang Mai, or if you're going maybe to Krabi, to the south of Thailand, just all day, every day. They probably have at least 10 flights a day, and there's various airlines that exist, both budget and non-budget. Thai Airways, Thai Lion Airways, Scoot. There's a ton of different budget Thai airlines that'll get you to Chiang Mai for a pretty reasonable flight. I was paying a couple years ago around $50 one way. Sometimes it's cheaper, sometimes it's more expensive. The flight is about an hour and 20 minutes, and it's super convenient all the way around. There are, however, 2 other ways you can get to Chiang Mai. Number 1, you can take a night bus from Bangkok if you're in Bangkok. You could, of course, go from any other city, but a lot of people will be starting in Bangkok on a trip to Chiang Mai. The night buses are really nice, actually, and they take about 9 to 10 hours nonstop. The only thing that I'll say is if you ever take a night bus in Thailand, please bring a sweater or bring long pants or a blanket or something, because they pump the air conditioner in these things so hard. And it can be whatever, it's always like 95 degrees, whatever, 35 Celsius outside. But inside these buses, it could be freezing. And so I had the worst night bus experience of my life going from Bangkok to Chiang Mai, because I was just in my shorts and a t-shirt, and the inside of this bus was like a refrigerator, and I was freezing the entire ride. I could not wait to get outside into that hot Thai air. So if you do that, you can definitely do that. There's the main train station, or the main bus station in Bangkok. You can, of course, go to Chiang Mai via that way. You can buy the ticket online. You can buy a ticket just at the bus station. They leave all the time. Really, the connection is always running. Secondarily, which is a fun thing to do, you could take a train to Chiang Mai. The Thai trains, there's not many lines, but the overnight train does exist. It's much longer, but if you have time and maybe you want to stop on the way in other various Thai places, that is a solid idea. The thing I like about Chiang Mai is that the old city is contained in city walls, which means the urban sprawl that you find in Bangkok is not really existent in any place that you would want to go to in Chiang Mai. That means if you're staying in a hostel or a hotel within the walls, the city is very walkable, although it is very hot. If you don't want to walk, you have a couple different options. You can, of course, take taxis. You can take motorbike taxis, or you could take these sort of shared taxis called red trucks. It's sort of like the Chiang Mai version of a Bangkok tuk-tuk. All of those exist. It's really easy to get around the city, and also it's very cheap to take taxis and tuk-tuks. So whatever you really foresee your trip being, they've definitely got it for you. And if you need to call a taxi or something, there are a couple different apps, or you could, of course, just ask the hotel or the hostel, and they'll have someone at your front door within a couple minutes. Safety. I think the safety in Chiang Mai is much better than in Bangkok. The one thing that I think people should know is that the driving in Thailand is pretty wild, especially if you're not used to that Southeast Asian traffic culture. So I always recommend wearing a seatbelt if you can. Make sure that your driver looks stable and okay. Other than that, I really think it's a very wonderful city to walk around in. Just be aware that sometimes people get robbed by people on motorbikes. In Thailand, it doesn't happen nearly as often as it does in Vietnam from personal experience, but it's always something to be aware of. So make sure you don't have, hold your purse or your phone away from your body while you're walking in the street along the motorbike way. Other than that, Thai people are some of the most friendly people that you'll find anywhere in the world. I've never been to a sketchy part of Thailand where I felt any type of unsafe. And since Chiang Mai is much quainter and smaller, it definitely has that sort of, that nice feeling really comes through. So if you go to Chiang Mai, you'll be more than fine. Don't worry about it. Now on to my favorite section, which is food. Chiang Mai is a legendary food city, and I actually did a really wonderful cooking class in Chiang Mai where I learned to cook some good local stuff with a local chef. We walked around the market. We got to see a lot of the ingredients. It's just a beautiful place for eating, and if you like food, there's no place better than the Chiang Mai markets. Some things you should definitely try on your trip to Chiang Mai. Number one, start with khao soi. Khao soi is sort of a curry noodle soup that's sort of the namesake dish of Chiang Mai and the north of Thailand in general. Super creamy, not too spicy. You put a little lime and lemon on top. It's so perfect. You have to try some khao soi. Secondarily, you have to try northern sausage. Northern sausage, also sometimes called Lao sausage because of the periphery to Laos, where I think maybe this dish originated or where it was shared between the two, is really good. It has lemongrass. It's not too spicy, but can be spicy, and is often served with sticky rice that is actually so sticky that it comes in like a little bamboo tube, and you eat it with your hands. It's one of my favorite dishes as far as street food dishes goes. And it's highly memorable because you're not going to find a better sausage anywhere else in the world, my personal opinion. When you're in Chiang Mai, they have many different markets, central markets, food markets, and you're going to want to go to those, and you're going to want to eat lunch and dinner and dessert and second dinner in these places. Chiang Mai is a late night city. Thai people stay up late because the sun is just oppressively hot during the day. So the city's bustling at night. You've got Saturday markets, street markets. I mean, you can find basically anything. There's no better street food country in the world than Thailand. I mean, some of the other Asian ones are great, but I love a good Thailand street food market. So anything you see that's relatively good, it could be mango sticky rice, it could be any kind of curry, it could be a noodle dish. I mean, all of it's good. The only thing to worry about sometimes is am I going to get sick from eating this feeling? Many Westerners, of course, feel this when they go to Southeast Asia. I had very good luck when I was in Thailand, but I will say that just look where other locals are eating. If you follow the locals, you'll find the good food. Obviously, the locals are not going to places that get them sick, so just take a look at that. The markets sometimes can be a bit overwhelming because at the markets you will see chicken and pork and all the animals sitting out. You'll see fish sitting out, and it definitely has a smell. So if you're not used to that sort of wet market, is what they would call it, that can be a bit challenging the first time. But once you get used to it, it's a beautiful place to eat. You can discover a lot of the beautiful local Thai vegetables and fruits and other ingredients that they use to spice their meals. Take a cooking class. It's a super fun thing to do in the city because it is a really good foodie culture all the way around. The last thing that's really funny, and I saw this originally in an Anthony Bourdain video a million years ago, is that there's a lady in a cowboy hat who serves pork over rice with basically like a pickle, kind of a cucumber pickle situation, and some spicy sauce. It's a soy marinated pork that she cooks all day. It breaks down. It's nice and fatty and juicy and delicious over the rice. It's a very popular place. I think the lady's still there. It's a pretty notorious place. I've been many times, and it's so good every time. It's just phenomenal. Just get one plate, get two, get three. But if you go to Chiang Mai, just be ready to eat. That's my main point. So now let's talk about some things to do in Chiang Mai. I actually lived in the city for about a month, so I had enough time to do the majority of these things, and they're all definitely worth it. Basically, when you get into Chiang Mai, you're gonna tour the old city, and in the old city, it's full of a lot of beautiful Buddhist complexes. You're gonna want to do these. The tickets are not expensive. Spend a day, just maybe like you can either go early because it gets really, really hot, and it's hotter and drier in Chiang Mai than it is in Bangkok. So Bangkok is very humid. The south of Thailand, the islands are all very humid. The north is drier and hot. So maybe plan your touring around the late afternoon or the early morning. I think the early morning in Chiang Mai is a mystical time. You'll see most people in the city getting up early, around 5:36. You'll see the city start to churn. There's this beautiful buzz that happens right around 6 in the morning in Southeast Asia. And that's the time you're going to want to get up. You're going to have a little cheeky breakfast, and you're going to go tour some stuff. Because right around 10 o'clock, everybody in the city, the local people, they know, game over, too hot, not doing anything. And you don't want to be those tourists at 1 o'clock getting shredded by the sun. So anything in the city center, I think plan around that. Plan to have some lunch around noon. Sometimes things are sleepy. Sometimes things are closed even around noon or 11. But you'll definitely find things to do. Next, you're going to want to have a mountain or highlands day. You'll see a lot of tours that are offered in Chiang Mai that are basically a 3-stop tour They'll take you to maybe a highlands or a Hmong village. Hmong is another ethnic group that lives in the highlands of Laos, Vietnam, and Thailand. You can visit the people, you can see some of the artisanal crafts, the trading culture, try some of the local food. That's all really nice. You can also go to Pu Ping Palace. Love the name of this palace. It's a palace that was built by a former royal person living in Chiang Mai. It's very pretty, very specific architecture. And then at the end of that day, you can go to Doi Suthep, which is a mountaintop Buddhist stupa with a big golden Buddhist religious site in the middle. It's a monastery, so people will be praying. There's, of course, lots of tourists. It's high up in the mountains, so you can see the whole mountain valley. And as you drive back down, you'll be able to see the mountain valley where Chiang Mai sits. It's incredibly gorgeous. The mountain is really wonderful. If you want to spend more time up there, you can. They also have hotels and other sort of lodges up there if you want to spend more time in the mountains. You could do some hiking as well if that's what you're into. The mountains are a really good spot because it gets a little bit cooler, and there's some really nice traditional things to do, especially if you're into wildlife, because you can also find elephant sanctuaries. There's many tours that you can also do. There's also a tiger sanctuary, although I've heard the tiger sanctuary is a no-go if you like ethical tourism, because a lot of the tigers are tranquilized up. That goes with the elephants as well. There are elephant reserves and elephant sanctuaries. The sanctuaries are the good ones. The sanctuaries are where the elephants have freedom to roam around. They're taken care of by donation money. They have a staff that works with them. The other ones can sometimes be quite exploitative. The elephants are chained up. It's just not a good vibe. So there's some stuff you can look at online. There's many of these different tours. There's a lot of organizations that do both tiger and elephant tours. So just make sure that if you can touch a tiger, it's not a good one. If you can touch an elephant, it's normally okay. I've seen both sides. You shouldn't be riding the elephants. That's definitely bad. But there are ones where you can play with the elephants in the water. You can feed them. I think those are all good. So the whole thing is that you need to verify, maybe beforehand. Don't take the cheapest one. Make sure to verify what you're putting your money into, how the animals are treated. I also went to the Chiang Mai Zoo. It was one of the most depressing things I've ever seen. So maybe skip that one. I wasn't aware of how bad it was going to be after I went. It's just a cultural difference on how animals are treated and what's okay. So that's what I have to say about that. If you have a little bit of extra time once you've toured Chiang Mai and you've gone into the mountains, there are some great day trips you can do. You can go to a couple floating villages down the Ping River. You can also go up to Chiang Rai, which is about 3.5 hours, right in the Golden Triangle between Myanmar, Thailand, and Laos. And in Chiang Rai, you can see the White Temple, which is this sort of experimental Buddhist temple built by a very eccentric artist, but it's one of the coolest things you can see in Thailand for sure. You could do it as a day trip. I don't know. I would stay the night. I stayed the night. But it's very cool. So if you have time to do that, definitely do that. If not, I think Chiang Mai, I would say a good itinerary for Chiang Mai is if you have 5 days, really good. If you have 3 days, you can definitely do everything. But I think 5 days, if you want to do the cooking class, you want to go to the elephant sanctuary, you want to see the palaces, you want to do the Buddhist monastery stuff, I think you'll definitely have enough time for that. And it's a city that you'll just fall in love with. I think it just happens to so many people. They also have a very raucous nightlife. They have a little sector with a very notorious bar called Zoe in Yellow. It's pretty trashy. It's very expat. It's very young expat, backpacker vibe. That definitely happens in Chiang Mai too. So if that's your vibe, great. If you don't want to see that at all, you actually don't have to. The city definitely has different pockets for everybody. So I think that's going to do it for me in this video. I hope the information is helpful. I try to talk in these videos like I'm talking to a friend. A lot of friends ask me about my travel advice, and I'm trying to just give the community of YouTube a little friend chat about traveling to these places. I love Thailand. I love Chiang Mai. It's a mystical place. You're going to love it. If you love the video, make sure to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell. That definitely helps me out. And I hope I see you in the next one. See you later, my friends. Sawadee ka.